is your family like mine and doesn't like the end of the breads and that you always have leftover little pieces of bread everywhere? If you are, don't throw them away. Stick them in your freezer, and I'm going to show you what you can do with them next. Okay, so now you have all of this bread that you have frozen and it's sitting in your freezer. What do you do with it next? Well, I'm here to show you that it's super easy to make breadcrumbs, to make croutons, to make all different kinds of little treats out of your old bread. Now, one thing I do want you to remember is that the you can use any kind of bread. So I sometimes have biscuits in here. I have the ends of my homemade bread. But one thing that I always try and have, specifically when I'm making breadcrumbs, is a couple cornbread muffins or pieces. And that just makes the very, very best breadcrumbs there is. So here's what you're going to do. It's really simple. Get a cookie sheet, set your oven to 350, and take out a couple pieces of your frozen bread. So here's like a cornbread muffin. If I can, I'll break it up. Otherwise, I'll just lay it on there. I'll break up some pieces of my bread, and I just pull out until I have a full cookie sheet on here. And then all you're going to do is you're going to bake this at 350 until everything gets golden brown and toasted. It's that simple. So we're going to pull out as much as I can and break it. I do try, I don't have a knife over here, but I do try and cut my cornbread muffins if they're not like squares. If they're bigger, thick muffins, I do try and cut them in half just because they toast up better that way, and you do want all of your pieces to be toasted. Whatever I don't use, I just stick right back in the freezer in this bag, and I continue on throughout my weeks, adding my old bread to the bag until it's full, and then I make something out of it. I love being able to take something that you're not using and make something useful out of it, and this is a perfect way to use up some old bread without wasting it. So I'm going to go stick this into the oven at 350 degrees until it's golden brown, which usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so now I have all of my little pieces here, and they are nice and toasted. So, and I've let them completely cool. And I'd say that probably took about 25 minutes at 350 for them to get to this point. The crispier they are, the more of a crunchier breadcrumb that you're going to have. So now all I do is just throw all of these pieces, and depending on how big your food processor is or your blender, will depend on if you have to do it in batches or not. And I'm just going to fill this up. And making sure if you are going to do it in batches, I try and keep a cornbread piece for each batch so that it kind of evenly disperses throughout. And we'll see how that goes here. And then we walk that in. And you're just going to blend it up. And that is it. Let's see here. Just check and make sure all of the pieces, you don't have any big chunks or anything, and they're all evenly distributed. I do have a few pieces here that are still a little chunky, so I'm going to go again. Okay. And now you have a nice thick breadcrumb. And I don't season this right now at this point. What I will do is I will just fill quart-sized mason jars with the breadcrumbs, and then I will stick the breadcrumbs back into the freezer until I'm ready to use. So I bread my chicken with it, I bread pork chops with it, I put them into meatball. When I'm making meatballs, I put them in. I use them for a lot of things. And when I pull them out and I take what I need out of it for each recipe, that's when I season them. Now you can season them ahead of time, and if you want to do like an Italian blend of breadcrumbs or something like that, you can definitely do that and stick them back in the freezer. I just choose to keep them plain, and that way I can season them to my liking no matter what I'm doing. And I don't have a whole jar of the same kind of seasoning, and I can do it how I want. These work great for a gluten-free chicken strip, to bread your chicken strips this way and fry them up. They work great for, like I said, for meatballs. I use them in to keep your meatballs held together. Let's see if I can get this last little bit in here. And there you have it. Now I'm just going to cap this. One thing to remember, if your breadcrumbs were not completely cool before you blended them up in the food processor or in the blender, you are going to want to wait until they are completely cool before you cap them and put them into the freezer. You don't want to put a hot thing into the freezer. You may crack your jar. So I am going to go ahead and stick these in the freezer, and they are ready to use whenever I want them. I hope that you have this was helpful, and that you have some old bread that you can turn into breadcrumbs, because they are so delicious and you don't need to buy them from the store. It's so simple to make yourself. Have a great day. Take care.